beautiful souls. Welcome back into the Serene Corner, or welcome in if you are new. Hey, y'all, welcome in to another video. Today, we are going to be getting into part 2 of listening to top to bottom the Justin Baldoni $400 million lawsuit against Blake Lively. Part 1 was interesting, and already a lot of people are locked in, so I want to get part 2 filmed, ready to go, and yeah, we're going to get right into it. I do have a drink here as well, but I'm currently making a snack. You probably guys can hear my oven ticking. So I'm making a snack. I'm going to get into wrapping this up. And then I want to end this video with also this story is developing and moving so fast. I'm trying to keep up with it as well as live my life and create other content. But yes, there's some new developments and things as well that I've just been seeing on my For You page that I just added those videos into here. Again, we are utilizing Maggie May, and she is reading the lawsuit to us, and I will have her channel linked down below. And then I will have any other creators that I mentioned in this video linked in the comments or in the description. Girl, I'm moving quick because I'm like, let's get into this. I also really want to hear the rest of what's going on. So we're going to get right into it.
All right, we're going through the 179-page complaint that Justin Baldoni filed against Blake Lively today for $400 million in damages. We are on page 40. If you haven't watched the other parts, go down here, click on this, watch the rest of the parts. This is juicy. Oh my God, this is so juicy. Okay, so basically, if you haven't been here, the producers, like the people who make the movie, were seeing what she was trying to do, and they were trying to do everything they could to not let that happen. But it happened. And now Miss Lively's story isn't adding up. Let's get into it. From Justin Baldoni, an outgoing text. Hey, would you mind giving me access to dailies? And I'm curious which takes you liked the scenes of to show Warren. My man, and he's basically screenshotting what Blake Lively said to him in the last video that I read. And he says, thoughts? And the producer said, I'd say no, but check her contract first, LOL. Then Jamie Heath says, I was waiting for blank to respond first. It's an absolute no for me as well, respectfully. Not sure best way to respond, being how delicate she is. I think you can either not respond until tomorrow. Then he says, or say you need to talk to the team, or just say no, you're not comfortable with it. And then Jamie says, maybe we can let this be a Sony decision and you can respond with that for now. Then Justin Baldoni says, spoke to, and then it's like blacked out. I think I'm just going to say yes and send her a playlist of a bunch of good takes from different scenes that last for 3 to 4 days. Blank said, no, LOL. We all said no, and you're going to send? No, she liked the idea of a playlist. No, to access to all the dailies. I wasn't clear in text. And the producer said, okay, copy. Then he said, makes sense. And then Justin says, basically send her a playlist of what I showed her agent. And then, if or when she responds and says, can you send me everything? That's what I'll say I'm not comfortable with that, as I haven't seen everything. Blank believes she will then start to edit the movie and tell me which takes to use if she gets access to everything. The producer says, yes, I agree with that. Then Justin says, also, this is exactly how the writing process started. She asked if it was okay if she could take a pass at some dialogue tweaks on the rooftop scene. Just talk to Blake. She's in good spirits and seems happy about this. Very nice conversation. Good. Great. Great to hear. After consulting internally as how to respond, Baldoni politely pushed back, explaining that
it's crazy how much they have to just step on this client's toes. Again, so if I was the publicist, if I was in her team, she just seems like super hard to work with as an individual. Like, I understand that people have certain like caveats and things that need to be run by them, and this is how the industry does work. I completely understand that, but there just seems like every step of the way, it's like walking on eggshells with this girl to make sure, like, well, I can't say no or I can't speak up for certain things just because you don't want to upset this individual is crazy.
Much too early in the editing process to share such footage. He responds back on July 20th. As earlier you saw in the previous video, she wrote him an email on July 19th. Hi, sorry for the slow response. Yes, family is good. Brule being away for so long and happy we are family together. We are finally together. Lots happening. All good things overall. Had to hire new editors who I adore. They are going through everything now. I'm so happy you felt energized by what you saw. Your performance is really, really beautiful. Stunning, actually. Regarding dailies, obviously you know I want your input. That's why I sent the 5-hour playlist. But at this point, it's too early for me to share all the dailies. I start my cut in early August, giving the new editors, and Still going through the rest myself. Also figuring out our shooting plan as I have to cut and combine and find ways to scale down for budget. Once I am physically in the edit and have touched scenes myself, I'd love to share with you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time with your family. Talk soon." At this point, Lively reluctantly paid nominal lip service to the notion that Baldoni, the film director, was entitled to the time and space needed for the directorial cut to be continued to push. "Blake, I don't want to infringe on your time with your cut, of course. Don't feel the need to send me cut scenes. I was just excited to see. Regarding dailies, none of the producers have had access to dailies. It's just you." Baldoni shared limited scenes with Lively, feeling uncomfortable all the while, yet he already knew that he had to bow to Lively's demands in order to get the film and its powerful message out. Finally, he put his foot down, sending Lively one final scene and then telling her he would not be sending any more cuts until he was finished with the editorial process. "Sorry, back-to-back meetings. All good. Love the excitement and I'm excited to show you when time is right. No, not just me and Jamie have access to dailies, but not assemblies or cuts." Then he sends another message. "Happy birthday, Blake. Coincidentally, today is the last day of my edit as we are closing the room until we shoot again. It's been wildly successful and I'm so happy. You are so fantastic in the film. I'm sending you over one of my favorite sections. I won't be posting or sending anything to anyone after this, but I'm excited to show you more in person when we come back. Please watch before Sunday as all Pix accounts get shut down on Monday until we are back up. Can't wait to hear what you think." The WGA strike ended on September 27, 2023, and the SAG-AFTRA strike ended on November 9, 2023. Months before, Baldoni had made Lively's representatives aware that they would continue pre-production in order to hit the ground running when the strike ends. But Lively and her lawyers had been busy devising plans during the strike. The same day that the SAG-AFTRA strike ended, Baldoni, the studios, and producers were eager to resume production. Instead, they were met with an email from Lively's lawyer, who sent Wayfarer an unsettling and unexpected 17-point list of non-negotiable conditions that must be met before Lively would return to work. The stunning list was drafted for the apparent purpose of insinuating or outright claiming that Baldoni, Heath, and others had engaged in sexually inappropriate conduct during filming. Nothing could be further from the truth. Then it has the email.
So they were basically plotting the entire time the strike was occurring. So something must have occurred behind the scenes with them personally, like Ryan and Blake. That's alleged, and I'm going to assume that to be. This is so interesting. And even within like Justin's lawsuit, he's still trying to make Blake look good, which in certain areas, which is crazy. Because again, her argument is basically the smear campaign. But there was actively actions made here to prevent any of that happening, for people to drag into the mud the way they did. And that's why, again, I keep saying the only reason that I ever saw her being dragged was due to her own actions during the press release of this. And again, as someone with severe media training, that was confusing. Because again, she should be highly, if anything, one of the top media trained in the industry. You've been in it for so long. And so it was just so confusing. And that's why a lot of this gives, like, again, allegedly, because I don't know these people. This is literally my assumptions and my opinion. It just gives illegal activities are going on. Like something else is going on. Because it's just it's weird to me. It's weird to me. Or delusion. And delusion is definitely an illness going around at this point. Very severe. Let's keep going.
Attached. Both Wayfarer and Sony attempted to revise the document to make it factually accurate, being that the representation of set culture was inaccurate, and sent comments through Wayfarer's attorney, who incorporated Sony's notes. But Lively's counsel's response made it clear that the list was not open for negotiation. Then he shares an email. It says, "The list we provided was not intended as a starting point for negotiation. Rather, is it a set of protections that need to be in place in order for our client to return to work. Please let us know as soon as possible whether Wayfarer will accept the protections included in the original communication, including without limitation 11 and 12, with the additional clarifications. In addition to the stunt double, Wayfarer to engage Blake Lively approved body doubles for both characters for all simulated sex scenes. This requirement applies to any further filming. We can limit the requirement to scenes involving nudity, partial nudity, or simulated sex." It was clear that Wayfarer would have to sign the document as is, despite the falsity of its insinuations. The The alternative was to lose millions of dollars, cost hundreds of people their jobs after they had been out of work for months, and destroy their relationship with Sony. Nonetheless, the demands themselves were agreeable. Indeed, some of them were already in place. To illustrate the distorted and downright fictional base of the 17-point list of demands, each of them is addressed below.
Girl, don't worry. I'm already pulling up the next one. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, honey.
All right. We're going through the entire 179-page lawsuit that Justin Baldoni filed against Blake Lively, which names Taylor Swift as someone who was a part of this whole charade. Now we're getting into page 47. This is part 7.
Also, I quickly want to note Maggie's formatting of these videos is chef's kiss. She starts the part, announces what she's doing. She has text on the screen that's talking about what this part is about. She's reminding you that there's a series. The series is linked below. In terms of formatting with a content creator, this is chef's kiss content creation. Love it, Maggie. Love it, girl.
7 or 8, I don't know, I've lost count because this is much longer than 10 minutes. Now we're into the part where they are breaking down the fictional basis for the 17-point list of demands that Blake Lively had for them after the SAG-AFTRA strike. Point 1, intimacy coordinator. Lively demanded that an intimacy coordinator be present at all times when Lively was on set. In fact, an intimacy coordinator had already been engaged during the first half of the production, so Wayfarer took no issue with the request itself, despite both Lively and her attorney knowingly insinuating there was not one. On or about March 20th, 2023, nearly 2 months before filming began, Baldoni met with the intimacy coordinator in early April 2023. More than 6 weeks before production commenced, she was engaged. Lively was aware, as Baldoni had informed her in writing on or about April 6th. Lively's attorney was also aware, as documented in a May 8th email between her and Wayfarer's attorney, within which Wayfarer provides her the intimacy coordinator approved nudity rider, followed by written confirmation of said approval. Then there is an email from them to their counsel. Although the presence of an intimacy coordinator is not a Screen Actors Guild rule, but rather a recommendation, Baldoni was eager to engage one from the start to ensure talent, himself included, felt safe during intimate scenes. It was also important to him to note that intimacy coordinator be a woman to help craft scenes that would speak to the mostly female audience of the book. I.e. be written from the female gaze. A quote, a fact Lively later mocked in both her complaint and her CRD complaint. Given both Lively and Reynolds' first-hand knowledge of these facts, Lively's insistence in her November 9, 2023 return to production demands on the constant presence of an intimacy coordinator were baffling. However, because Wayfarer had already engaged an intimacy coordinator and had no issue with the request, and given the request came with the threat that Lively would not come back to work after months of filming and planning, Wayfarer acquiesced. This acquiesce, given with the written caveat that Wayfarer disagreed with the characterizations, was later used by Lively to falsely suggest an acknowledgement that there had been no intimacy coordinator at all. Malicious. Point 2. Limiting review of intimate scene footage to those who, with essential business reasons. It's like she doesn't know how a movie works. Given that this was already standard practice in the film industry, literally before I even fucking read that, and in practice on the film set, Wayfarer readily agreed to this demand, though without any reason to believe that the demand was made in response to an inappropriate conduct. Despite having filmed for over a month, and despite having been provided a nudity rider and the opportunity to negotiate, finalize, and sign, Lively had never asked for a closed set. However, production had always adhered to this and had no problem agreeing to the demand. For clarity, no intimacy scenes were even shot prior to November 9th, 2023, returned to production demands. Therefore, under no circumstance did Lively shoot intimacy scenes without a nudity rider, as suggesting in her complaint, and production did not violate any SAG-AFTRA rules. This one simulated nude scene filmed prior to the streak break on November 9th was a scene that Lively wrote.
What is going on here, Blake? That's why I'm saying something's not adding up, because it's almost giving, I don't know. It's giving rugs. It's giving rugs. It is, y'all. I don't know what else it's giving at this point. Because even earlier, how, again, she's talking and requiring things that are literally a part of the is this your first movie? and you've been in the industry for years, I'm confused. Like, did your white privilege really get you this far to where you don't even know system of operations in your role? You didn't even read the book. So, I mean, what is going on? I need to know how you guys feel about that. Please. And I've been loving all your comments below. I've been trying to go through and read all of them. I don't know if you guys want me to interact back with you guys and comment back, but I've been reading all the comments and I appreciate them so much.
She knew of in advance and directed the action for it. She never requested a nudity writer or intimacy coordinator for that scene. This demand, as written, suggests nude or intimate scenes were filmed with non-essential personnel present. Later in her complaint, Lively alleges that during a scene, the birthing scene, she was mostly nude with her legs spread wide in stirrups and only a small piece of fabric covering her genitalia, and that there were non-essential persons present. This allegation is knowingly false. To begin with, to describe Lively as mostly nude and naked from below the chest down is dishonest. Lively was wearing black briefs and a pregnancy suit that covered her midsection, and her top was covered by a hospital gown. Her legal complaint deliberately suggests that she was wearing a small piece of nude fabric glued around her genitalia. By stating this is generally what female actors use to provide some minimal privacy without disturbing the shot, leaving the reader to believe Lively was only wearing the small fabric. Lively was aware of this birthing scene, and she was heavily involved in rewriting the script, and gave creative input for this specific scene, even against the director's creative vision. Moreover, film footage clearly demonstrates that this scene was not chaotic, as she alleges, and only essential individuals, film crew and talent, were present for the scene and doing their jobs. Importantly, Lively knowingly and falsely alleges that the film's financier was present during these scenes and insinuates he was watching her nude, which he had no desire to do. He was not even on set during the filming of this scene. He arrived later, merely stopping by for a brief moment amid his busy business schedule, and was present during the filming of the scene in which Lively's character spoke with a female OBGYN doctor, a scene in which she's fully clothed. Part 3. No spontaneous improvisation of scenes involving physical touching, simulated sex, or nudity, which must be choreographed with intimacy coordinator. Contrary to Lively's knowingly false claims, it was Lively who refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator to plan out these scenes, putting Baldoni in an awkward position of meeting alone with the intimacy coordinator and later relaying sex scene suggestions and plans to Lively in the intimacy coordinator's absence. These meetings often took place at Lively's insistence in the couple's home, and often while Lively's husband was present. Lively's methods of work was unconventional and uncomfortable to Baldoni, so to suggest Baldoni was the one who created the scenario is knowingly false. And then there are more text messages, which we saw come out earlier, where he sends her the message that he hired the coordinator. Then we have, just wanted to tell you about this. Seems like she doesn't want to meet with the intimacy coordinator until we start, which may mess up the workflow, but I still can meet with her, of course. Female producer, that's fine. If she doesn't want to meet with her now, you'll just have to walk through what you and the intimacy coordinator are thinking. As a result, many sex scenes were not written with simultaneous collaborations and input for both Lively and the intimacy coordinator, as Baldoni had long intended the female gaze that Lively distorted in her CRD complaint and on information and belief circulated to the New York Times for its publication weeks before filing her complaint with the court. In the end, Lively rejected all the intimacy coordinator's proposals to rewrite the screens herself. Most egregiously, Lively later used these circumstances created entirely by her to accuse Baldoni of insisting Lively do uncomfortable or even gratuitous scenes that were in fact proposed by the intimacy coordinator and by all accounts very typical asks of any actor performing simulated sex scenes. This is well documented in handwritten notes Baldoni took during meetings with the intimacy coordinator and later read to Lively. Lively, in her recent allegations, misrepresented these ideas as personal, despite the fact that they were workshopping scenes for their characters. Lively's inability to discern the basic premise of the divide between collaborating on a film and personal interactions with her co-stars and director is woven throughout her claims of sexual harassment. In support of Lively's position and the impetus of these demands, she alleges Baldoni personally added graphic context, including a scene in which Miss Lively was to orgasm on camera. This is false. During a creative meeting, which Lively requested to take place in her home, Baldoni read to her notes from the intimacy coordinator, including a suggestion that Lively's character orgasmed during the scene similar to the book. Lively remarked, "Oh no, I'm too old for that." And Baldoni offered another suggestion instead, also from his notes from the meeting with the intimacy coordinator. Baldoni then moved on. Lively's later complaint sheds light on what this point was alluding to in this demand, which at the time was baffling, and upon review of the filmed evidence is unequivocally based on a lie. Production was filming a romance montage of Lyle and Ryle on their date. One of the producers played music to set the mood so the characters could slow dance. Lively, consistently unable to take direction, insisted that she really liked the idea of the characters constantly talking, because as she described, she and her husband liked to keep talking and talking and talking. Baldoni, her director, and the film's assistant director, who were directing the scene, disagreed.
I believe there's clips of this scene going around now. I might have it later in one of the videos that I'm going to be talking about. Because remember, I said things are developing and things are getting real saucy, real spicy from Justin's end. Literally. Sorry, I got a message on my phone. Let's keep going.
In an attempt to encourage her to take his direction, Baldoni offered up that he and his wife often just look at each other's eyes silently, to which she responded, "Like psychopaths?" and laughed. Baldoni laughed and shook it off, while Lively again started talking about how she and her husband can't not talk. Baldoni said, "I think that's cute," and compliments the couple, to which Lively responded, "I think it's more than cute." This is the prime, this is someone who thinks their relationship is the end-all be-all. If we don't remember exactly how this relationship started, remember who Ryan Reynolds was with before and who she was also with before? Keep going. We're going to the next part. We're on page 54. We are in it. We are reading the 179-page complaint that Justin Baldoni filed against Blake Lively for $400 million countersuit. Yes, there is stuff about Taylor Swift. Yes, it is not good. Let's keep going. If you want to watch the rest of the series, just click down here in this playlist and watch the rest of them. But we are on page 54 right now, and the last thing we just talked about is how Baldoni is talking to Blake Lively in a scene about how him and his wife just look at each other sometimes and they don't actually say anything, and that's how he wanted this scene to be, this montage of scenes to be in the movie. And Blake Lively basically made fun of him for him and his wife's connection, because she said her and Ryan Reynolds can't not talk, which is a huge huge red flag if you can't just sit with your partner and be quiet. Baldoni says he thinks it's cute that they do this, and she says that she thinks it's more than cute. I'm sorry. Baldoni says that he thinks it's cute that they can't stop talking, and she says she thinks it's more than cute. She just seems like such, this is, let's get into it. Let's keep going. Paragraph 90. Lively continued arguing and tried to direct him for the scene, while they were supposed to be in character filming the scene. At some point, Heath and another producer, irritated, called Baldoni aside to express they can't capture the intended shot because Lively wouldn't stop talking. He was instructed to somehow get her to stop. While there was a brief verbal exchange, Baldoni, heeding the instructions of the assistant director and producers, continued to try and bring them back into character. As they were acting in this montage scene, Lively continued to break character and speak as herself rather than Lily, which was extremely confusing for Baldoni, who was trying to balance directing the scene with his artistic vision while also acting in character while filming and trying to get Lively to do the same. Lively apologized for the smell of her spray tan and body makeup. Baldoni responded, "It smells good," and continued acting, slow dancing as he believed this character would be his partner, which requires some amount of physical touching. Lively took them out of character again and began to joke about Baldoni's nose, which he laughed off and joked in turn, even as Lively joked that he should get plastic surgery. So she's making comments on his body about how he should change it, and God, if he did that to her, we would have saw that in the lawsuit. Lively incorrectly alleges that the scene was filmed without sound. Baldoni was wearing a microphone, and the entire exchange is captured on camera. Any suggestion that the scene...
Okay, I had to go do some digging really quick. So I'm like, we got to pause here only because we're going to quickly just watch. And what time are we at on this? 2:28? Okay, because we're going to quickly watch what she's talking about. because it applies to the story, and now we have developing news. So I'm going to go ahead and present that.
Is not going to be good for Blake Lively because Justin Baldoni's team just released footage from the slow dance scene. If you recall, Blake Lively's claim and lawsuit had said that this scene made her uncomfortable while filming because there was supposed to be no music, no talking, just slow dancing. She had claimed that Justin Baldoni started kissing her neck, which is not in the script, and started telling her how she smelled good. But when you watch this footage, not only are they both talking, but it's Blake Lively saying how it's good to talk during this scene because it's more romantic. On top of that, yes, he does say she smells good, but it's not in the way she's painting it. And even during this scene, there's a portion of it where she starts talking about how Justin Baldoni has a big nose.
Again, so as someone in marketing, in public relations, this is just so damaging. I don't understand why you'd even lie about this. That's what's confusing. I'm confused, truly. Like, it's getting to a point where it's like, did she want to end her career? Like, she wanted to get out of the industry? If there's something else going on? And that's not even to victimize her, because again, if she's things that so far that basically she's for sure lied about is crazy. And again, it discredits actual victims that experience things. It's just wild. So again, to be a devil's advocate, is there something else going on that you're trying to get out of, Blake? Like, is this a Britney Spears moment? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand, and I want to understand. Because at this point, nothing can fix this except for like full accountability. Or again, like, oh gosh, please, I hope she doesn't go to the mental health pipeline. Please. Like, now she's a mental illness or something. Oh, please. Lord.
They win! Oh my gosh, we don't shut up.
And Emily and I have we have these moments where
Staring? You just stare.
Literally we've done it for like 5 minutes. it's like, I think you would find it terrifying. We just literally hit each other, and like
when
time.
I found a sociopath.
And like, time stops.
Yeah.
But like, that's just how it's been for us from the beginning.
No, we're like, oh my god, there's not enough time.
Oh.
And they score again.
Yeah. No. It's like, oh my god, I forgot to tell you something else.
No, I think that's cute. You guys are really cute.
I think it's more than cute. I feel so nosy.
I know.
Noses.
And my nose is so big.
Yes. I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that. And then
Cut.
Just kidding.
No, it's true. That's why we hired Jenny Slate too. Our noses match.
Let's score another.
I'm not getting beard on you today.
I'm probably getting a spray tan on you.
It smells good.
Well, it's not that. It's my body makeup.
And they win. They won.
All right, cut. I think we got plenty.
Yes.
Slow motion. It's going to be a 17-minute.
We are in it. We are reading the 100 try and bring them back into character as they were without sound. Baldoni was wearing a microphone and the entire exchange is captured on camera. Any suggestion that the scene was filmed in any other manner other than pure professionalism by Baldoni is unequivocally countered with actual evidence. Her allegation of sexual harassment is documented and knowingly a fabricated lie. Moreover, it was Lively who engaged in the unchoreographed kissing scene. One scene, again captured on camera, exhibits Lively pulling Baldoni in to kiss her. It is clear Lively was initiating unchoreographed kissing. In one take, she pulled Baldoni in and kissed him once. In another, and a number of kisses, entirely initiated by Lively, changed at her whim. Baldoni, as a professional actor who, among other roles, played the lead's love interest in television's Jane the Virgin for 5 years, 100 episodes, is, like most actors, accustomed to rehearsing or filming scenes multiple times, often with variations without needing permission, while in character. While Lively now takes issues.
Sorry, there's a train going by. I had so much to say. Y'all saw that clip? Crazy. She's a liar. Wild. And also, like, I could just never be an actress or never have, like, my man. Please. Please pack it up. Pack it up. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
With the innocuous improvisation Baldoni and as Ryle may have allegedly initiated while in character. Baldoni treated this relationship on character as professional, each playing their part, each doing their job. If no one was supposed to improvise, Baldoni would have no way of knowing based on Lively's own actions. Lively demonstrated again and again that this was a normal and acceptable part of filming romantic scenes. Lively also complains that there was inappropriate and improvised kissing during the first period of filming, before the strike break, but in fact, the only 2 kissing scenes filmed during the initial filming period were both scenes that included kisses as written in the script. These kissing scenes were not improvised. Point 4. Remember, we're in 17 points. We're in 17 fucking points. No physical touching of.
That's what I want to say. He was in Jane the Virgin. So this is not a nobody. Which, again, I don't consume, like, television entertainment. I am a social media consumer highly. Again, I do not watch TV. If you know me personally, you know this. The movie that I've seen is the Titanic. You know, that's always my go-to. You know, I just rock out with that. I don't know nothing. Or a book. I know about that. Yeah, I did not know that he was in Jane the Virgin.
Lively, including hugging or comments on her physical appearance, except in connection with the character or scene work, not as to Lively personally. To be clear, none of the named parties touched Lively when not in character, especially not in the manner suggested. While Baldoni and Wayfarer clearly agreed that co-workers should respect physical space, Lively's constant confusion of references to her character as played by Lively as opposed to Lively herself became problematic and interfered with production. This was caused in large part by Lively's persistent desire to direct and inability to accept direction. For example, there's examples. Her allegation that Baldoni inappropriately called her sexy was in fact a reference to a scene where everyone was wearing onesies, but Lively was covering her onesie with a big coat. Baldoni, her director, asked if she could take off the big coat so that her onesie would be visible in the scene. Baldoni said, "It will be hot," as it was 90 degrees in the small bar with no air conditioning. Lively mischaracterizes this in her complaint as Baldoni referring to her personally as hot, using the slang meaning of the term. Given that Lively herself had earlier expressed to him she wanted her character's wardrobe to be sexier, Baldoni encouraged her to accept direction by saying, "It's sexy," meaning that without the big coat, the wardrobe was sexier, as Lively had said she wanted it to be. Lively took it personally. She was unable to take direction, later alleging his behavior was inappropriate, regarding her self-chosen wardrobe, stating, "That's not what I'm going for." Baldoni, recognizing that she may have taken her direction personally and appeared offended, apologized more than once. His statements were immediately followed by his gesture that she had something in her teeth, and a request for someone on set to get it out with a toothpick. This exchange, all of which is captured on camera, demonstrates how ludicrous and deliberately malicious Lively's allegations are. While on the other hand, Lively accuses Baldoni of making comments about her appearance, on the other, she made derogatory comments about Baldoni's appearance, telling him he should undergo rhinoplasty, something Baldoni has publicly expressed insecurities about and has discussed on the episodes of the podcast Man Enough, exploring the topic of body.
What a bee. I'm just going to say it. What a bee. That's so rude. That is so rude. I do not like talking about individuals' bodies. Like, leave bodies alone. Leave people alone. I do not like that stuff. She's weird. She is so weird.
Dysmorphia. Lively's comments about Baldoni's nose is also captured on camera. Baldoni, rather than write down a list of grievances against Lively, brushed it off and moved on with the scene. Baldoni's sincere dedication to what has repeatedly described as holding himself accountable as a man was being used against him, just as Lively is attempting to do now. To characterize his sensitivity to her personal reaction to his creative directions, which was not only innocuous but well-intended, is malicious. To then share this knowingly false characterizations with the New York Times for publication months before filing any formal complaint, then waiting nearly 2 weeks to file the complaint with the court, thus depriving him the opportunity to engage in discovery before the damage is done, is inexcusable. Despite the flawed factual premise underlying Lively's demands, in the face of Lively's refusal to return to work, Wayfarer agreed to these conditions. How crazy, like... Oh my God, this is juicy. Okay, so when Justin Baldoni's lawyer said that he was going to make Blake Lively regret filing this lawsuit, he was not kidding, because this 179-page lawsuit that I'm going through and I've gone through down here, this playlist, you can listen to exactly every single thing that's in it. I'm going through point by point and talking about exactly what happened. And I think this is probably the last time that we are going to see Taylor Swift and Blake Lively ever in the same room together again. And it could be highly likely that their friendship is over because of how bad Blake Lively looks in this lawsuit. The words manipulator, liar, malicious, vitriol have all been thrown out in this lawsuit in regards to Blake Lively. We are in the middle of the 17 points, debunking the 17 points that Blake Lively filed in her lawsuit, so let's get into it. Point 5. You want to hear the other points? Just listen to this playlist down here. Click on that. No discussion of personal experiences or sex or nudity, including as it relates to conduct with spouses or others. When Baldoni was faced with this demand, he was utterly confused. By the time Lively and Baldoni were developing their intimate scenes together, they had developed a friendly relationship and were communicating over text messages. Lively felt comfortable expressing herself and appeared to do so freely. She took photos of Baldoni holding and comforting her newborn in her home. Baldoni filmed her uncontrollably laughing with him as they rehearsed late into the evening, often delirious with exhaustion. Nothing about their interaction suggested Lively was uncomfortable around Baldoni. Though confused by this demand and denied the opportunity to revise the return to production demands to make them factually accurate and less misleading, Wayfarer had no choice but to sign the document and did so, knowing no such instances has occurred. Later, Lively references in her complaint instances that were shockingly miscategorized and in no way inappropriate or unprofessional. For example, in response to a proposal from the intimacy coordinator that Baldoni's character Ryle not orgasm after he satisfied Lily, Lively remarked, "I'd be mortified if that happened to me," personalizing the character's sexual act. Baldoni, following Lively's lead in what he understood to be an attempt to connect with and develop the characters, remarked that those have been some of the most beautiful moments between himself and his wife. Then they moved on. In another instance, as Lively and Baldoni were developing their scenes, Lively said, "I don't want it to look like porn," and then offered up that she had never seen it in her life, a very personal fact. Bullshit. Baldoni complimented her and said, "That's wonderful, because unfortunately he was first exposed to it when he was 10 years old and struggled with an addiction for a period of time. He often writes openly about that in his book, Boys Will Be Human, written for young boys, and Man Enough, written for men. Addressing this as a societal problem. Anyone who knows or has done research on Baldoni would have knowledge of this, and it can in no way categorized as inappropriate, especially after opening the door to the discussion by disclosing something highly personal," which is a lie. There ain't no fucking way that Blake Lively says she ain't never seen corn. Lying ass bitch.
Y'all believe that? Y'all believe that?
That's how you know she's a liar. At every turn, Baldoni was entrapped. Moreover, Heath, who had nothing to do with this exchange and has never had an addiction or even mentioned in Lively's presence, was falsely lumped into this accusation. Lively continued with an outrageous and knowingly false suggestion that she was shown this and naked images of Heath's wife on set. This allegation knowingly and maliciously misrepresents an instance when in connection with the birthing scene, Heath, at the director's request, attempted to show Lively a video that demonstrated the director's vision for the scene. This video, which ultimately was not shown to Lively, even though she stated she'd like to see it later as she was eating, is by all accounts beautiful. Since Lively wanted to see it later, what she saw was the first image of the start of the video, which shows Heath's wife himself and their baby after the wife gave birth at home. To characterize this this image that captures such a beautiful moment with their newborn baby, shared with the consent of his wife for purposes of the film, as a naked photo was not corn. Nonetheless, Lively did not object and asked to see the videos after she ate, having managed to convince the director to write and shoot the scene according to her specifications. These brief exchanges were distorted beyond recognition in the 17-point list of return to production demands that Lively served on Wayfarer. Still, without conceding that anything remotely inappropriate had happened, Wayfarer agreed to this condition so they could resume production. Basically, this movie wasn't going to get made unless Blake Lively got her way.
Basically, sorry, I was eating and I've tried to be cute in my first bite. This is why I don't try to be cute. Just be cute. Just be you. Like, literally. But whatever. Girls gotta eat.
Can we remake this movie, please? And not have Blake Lively? Can we get the other, cut, please? Please. I'd fucking watch it. I'd watch it. I like Colleen Hoover. I would totally watch this film with Justin Baldoni's cut. What would you? Point 6. No one to enter Lively.
I don't watch movies, so I'm gonna say no. But would y'all? I've been seeing people in comment section saying they want Justin's take. I won't be surprised if that ends up happening anyway.
Lively's trailer while she was undressed. The suggestion that this ever happened is illogical and categorically false. This is so brutal. This is a legal document that is basically like, this lady is a fucking liar. She's lying to the court, she's lying to the public, and this is exactly the problem with Hollywood. No one would or did enter Lively's trailer without knocking or asking permission first. More than once, Lively invited Baldoni, Heath, and other producers into her trailer so that she could multitask, understandably balancing motherhood with her work obligations. Regrettably, while accommodating Lively, Baldoni and Heath were led into situations that would later be characterized as harassment. Lively herself invited Baldoni to her trailer to work on lines while she pumped breast milk. Lively regularly breastfed in front of Baldoni while they had meetings. Heath was invited into her trailer for a meeting at her request while she was having makeup removed from her collarbone because she was not able to meet at another time. Her nanny, makeup artist, and assistant were present, and Lively was not topless, as she claims elsewhere, but was fully clothed.
Nanny, makeup artist, assistant? Is she saying like each individual person, or like this one person has all those roles? If so, that is a superhuman. Just saying.
Using either nursing or pumping breast milk. In this instance, he was instructed to turn away while they spoke and respectfully did so, while they figured out a time to meet with the other producers standing just outside the door, and as Heath pleaded with Lively to have the meeting the next morning to avoid her getting home late and losing shooting time the following day. While it is possible he inadvertently made eye contact at one point, he does not recall. Lively later mentioned he did, and it made her uncomfortable, to which he responded, "I'm so sorry, I really didn't realize." Lively responded, "I know you weren't trying to cop a look," and they moved on. Lively's suggestion that no one but two professionals and conscientious men barged into her trailer several times or attempted to enter or persuade her to allow them to enter offers not only their long-established integrity, but not only offends their long-established integrity, but the sanctity of their vows to their wives and the dedication to their children and families. Lively is aware that both men are incredibly supportive and respectful of motherhood, to say the least. Heath's wife is a vocal advocate for postpartum mothers. Baldoni's wife co-founded a company that designed a breastfeeding garment, a prototype that originated with his mother while he was an infant. Baldoni had gifted Lively one. While those facts would never be an excuse for barging in unannounced, it is indicative of the nature of their relationship with and respect for women. Simply put, these allegations are categorically false, claims that would have been wildly out of character if they were true. Point 7. Oh, this one's a long one. Okay, I'm going to do this one on the next one. This one is no filming nude or sex scenes except per nudity rider, and no use of prior nude scenes without nudity rider. As we saw in the previous videos, there were no other nudity scenes before the strike happened. So basically Blake Lively extorted Justin Baldoni to get her way to create this film the way that she wanted to. Instead of just being an actor and playing the person they wanted her to play, she decided she also didn't read the fucking book. She decided, as someone who didn't read the book, that she wanted to do these things and that she wanted to have all this control. This is like the epitome of a narcissistic person. Like, come on, Blake Lively is the poster child for narcissistic mothers, basically. Let's talk about it in the comments. Do you have a narcissistic mother?
Oh my God, we are in it, guys.
We are in it, okay. We are reading the 179-page document. If you have not watched the other videos, go watch them, but I'm getting into it. If you're at this point, you should have already, you know what we're doing here, so I'm just going to get into it. There's not going to be any other intros into the rest of these videos. If you want to listen to it, fucking click here, let's go. We are in point 7 of...
This is such a good series. Like, she's created the content on the series so well. Take notes.
The 17 points that the demands, basically, that Blake Lively insisted on having before she returned to filming for the movie It Ends With Us. Their lawyer is breaking down each of the points and how they are categorically false. We're at point 7. No filming nude or sex scenes except per nudity writer, and no use of prior nude scenes without nudity writer. Lively was provided a nudity writer approved by the SAG intimacy coordinator and was given ample opportunity to provide notes before production commenced. Despite constant pursuit over several months, never produced notes, and Lively not only didn't sign the nudity writer during the first phase of production, but never even signed her employment agreement. Oh my God!
I don't know why the audio of this video of hers got messed up. I'm not sure. Let me remove it from the stage really quick and try it again.
Oh my God. Her main concern, this oh my God, this literally just said she didn't even sign her employment agreement. Oh my God. Her main concern while Wayfarer's lawyers were all but begging for signatures was ensuring her fee was deposited into escrow. In order to move forward, they had to pay her fee even though she had a Screen Actors Guild states that producers must provide actors at least 48 hours notice before call time to review and negotiate a nudity writer. A nudity writer approved by the SAG-AFTRA intimacy coordinator working on the production was provided to Blake Lively's counsel on March 8th, 2023. Wayfarer's attorney communicated that they would like it signed by May 11th, 2023, and requested they send any notes that they may have. On May 12th, 2023, Lively's attorney finally responded that they were reviewing the nudity writer and would come back with notes. So they got the nudity writer on the 8th, and on the 12th, they responded. Their focus then shifted to ensuring Lively's fee was deposited in escrow, and they became fixated on that, despite Wayfarer's repeated request for Lively to sign the customary certificate of engagement first. Ultimately, despite constant pursuit, it becomes clear that Lively had no intention of signing the nudity writer or her contract at the time. Then it's got an email from the council. Months later, the demand for a nudity writer became a part of the 17 demands and presented as if it were Wayfarer and not Likely who was the cause of its absence. The demand also stated that any footage previously shot without the nudity writer in place may not be used without Lively and her legal representative's consent, despite the fact that no simulated sex had been filmed yet. In fact, only one scene involving simulated nudity had been filmed, and it was a scene that Lively knew of well in advance, given that she wrote it herself.
Yeah, I'm not sure why this video is pausing through and through. So the next part's better, but as long as we can hear. Like, if the audio was pausing, we'd have an issue here.
Knew when it was filmed and directed the action herself, never requesting a nudity writer or intimacy coordinator. Point 8. So let me just say, Blake Lively didn't even sign her employment contract, but expected to be paid before she signed an agreement. That tells you what type of fucking person she is. And this is Taylor Swift's best friend. Just know.
And that's why I said in my last video, or one of my videos, my last video, I think, birds of the same feather flock together. So that's why, again, never been a Swiftie, never been a Blake Lively fan either. And for those that are, again, trying to ride the Taylor Swift train to the end of time, honey, it's just so embarrassing, especially for such lukewarm music. But again, neither here nor there. That's all opinion. Like, obviously, that's just my opinion. And some people love the music, and so that's valid. But the individual, there's just no way that's a good person. There's no way. And there's no way Blake Lively at this point is a good person either. There's just no way. This is crazy. And so, again, how do you fix this image that's been tainted so far, like it's just so deep. It's rooted so deep. I'm glad that's not my client.
This is her best friend. Point 8. Lively entitled to personal representative on set. Wayfarer had no objection to allowing Lively a personal representative on set. Point 9. Notice of COVID-19 exposure. On April 26, 2023, weeks before principal photography of the film commenced, Wayfarer sent crew a COVID-19 protocol update informing them that the AMPTP return to work agreement expires on May 12th and that there would be no pre-employment testing or masks after that. Although the AMPTP return to work agreement that established COVID protocols expired prior to the start of the principal photography and no testing or masking was required, Wayfarer agreed to inform Lively if production became aware that she was exposed to COVID. Point 10. No retaliation for requests. While Wayfarer in no way conceded that Lively's demands amounted to a report of genuine sexual misconduct, Wayfarer had no interest in retaliating against Lively for making these demands. Their only desire was to make a great movie. In the interest of maintaining a professional and productive atmosphere on set, they agreed to meet all of her demands, including a broadly defined statement that it would not retaliate in any manner, including sarcasm. Wayfarer agreed, though later it became clear that Lively would consider any future effort to push back against her demands with respect to the production as unacceptable retaliation. On information and belief, this demand was intended to safeguard Lively not from retaliation, but to secure her place as a leader of the film without the threat or claim of retaliation if Wayfarer or Baldoni pushed back. This is so highly manipulative, it's crazy. Point 11. Mutually agreed Sony representative required on set. Wayfarer agreed to the concept of having a Sony representative on set whenever Lively was on set, though it genuinely pushed back on the idea that it was always be Angie Giannetti, who might occasionally have other pressing work obligations. However, Wayfarer agreed. Point 12. Additional Lively approved producer to be hired to supervise filming? Wayfarer pointed out the additional expense and the contractual implications of hiring an additional producer would have detrimental effects on the production. In the end, Wayfarer agreed, as it would cost production more if Lively refused to work. Todd Black suggested Sony and approved by Lively was ultimately brought on as an additional producer. Point 13. Existing third-party producers empowered to actively supervise the production. While disagreeing with the suggestion that any producer did not have the appropriate and customary authority to actively supervise the production in their capacity as a producer, Wayfarer agreed to this term. A third-party producer was already empowered to do so. Point 14. Wayfarer to use Lively-approved body and stunt doubles for intimate and sexual violence scenes. Despite not requesting this at the contract negotiation phase, Lively pre-approved stunt and body doubles were fully acceptable to Wayfarer, so they agreed, despite the fact there was an additional and unplanned expense to the film. Ultimately, no body doubles were used in the film. Lively and Baldoni displayed a courteous and professional relationship through phase 2 of production. Point 15. No filming nude or sex scenes of any actor's portrayal of Lily except per nudity rider, and no use of prior nude scenes without nudity rider. This was an overstep, an attempt to expand Lively's right to her own nudity rider to assert control of the nudity rider for another actor, the actor who portrayed young Lily. While seeing this as an infringing of the young actor's independent right to her own nudity rider, Wayfarer once again was forced to agree while informing Lively that young Lily had already filmed her intimate scenes pursuant to her own nudity rider. Point 16. All day players must be hired through talent agencies, not personal connections. How fucking ironic and convenient. This point appeared to relate to the Lively's misleading claim that Baldoni inappropriately cast a personal friend to play the obstetrician during Lily's birth scene. First of all, that's how fucking Hollywood works. You can't be in a Nepo society and then complain about it. Like, come the fuck on. Baldoni's cast an experienced actor who happens to be a friend is no different than Lively's sister, who was cast because she is Lively's sister. The actor portraying the obstetrician is an award-winning Shakespearean-trained actor with an MFA in acting from UCLA, in addition to appearing...
Also, it's no different than Ryan writing scenes and being there for meetings as your husband. That has no part in the film.
In numerous hit television shows, had toured nationally with a Tony Award-winning actor company, and attended Oxford's acting program on a full scholarship. His accolades and performance speak for themselves. Lively's constant complaint states that she was alarmed when Baldoni introduced him as his friend and allowed him to play This intimate role in which the actor's face and hands were in close proximity to nearly nude genitalia, categorizing the experience as invasive and humiliating. It seems like Blake Lively doesn't know how to be on an actual TV or movie set. That's kind of what it sounds like. It is Lively's suggestion that a highly trained or experienced actor would have an seemingly interest in being in close proximity to her nearly nude genitalia, which as previously established was not nude or exposed, that is inappropriate, invasive, and humiliating to the actor. To reiterate, Lively knowingly made a false statement that only a small piece of fabric covered her genitalia during the birth scene. In fact, Lively was wearing briefs during the scene and was covered by a hospital gown and was wearing a pregnancy suit covering her midsection. This was not in any way nude or partially nude scene. Once again, Wayfarer agreed despite being wholly offended by the accusation. So I don't see why, like, this is a real... This is so interesting, and it really shows that Blake Lively is really not, like, has no idea how to act on set, has no idea what her role of an actress actually.
Yeah, I'm purely confused, like truly confused on like what she even does or what she did prior. And no wonder like she doesn't have like a big fan base other than like the fan base of Taylor's, because what does Shorty do on set? Basically nothing. But complain.
We're at point 17, and this one is truly shocking.
What?
All hands meeting before production resumes. This is the meeting that shocked everybody. This meeting literally like gave people PTSD. Wayfarer understood this request to be a sincere offer to meet and discuss the needs and preferences of life.
Okay, well, trigger warning then. If this is talking about some kind of trauma or something very serious, trigger warning.
Lively and other cast members to ensure comfort and security while filming a movie that dealt with difficult themes. In this spirit, Wayfarer readily agreed, believing that an opportunity to discuss concerns openly and to plan resuming production would be welcome. As will be established, Wayfarer's good faith belief could have not been further from the truth behind this demand. Lively, with the support of her husband, used this demand to justify an ambush of Baldoni and Heath on the eve of the first day of filming in Phase 2 of production. Importantly, Sony, who also had a representative on set, found the 17 requests confusing as well. Business affairs to Jamie Heath, and there's an email that is talking about the items and how some of them basically are a yes of course and how some of them don't actually make any sense. Moving on. Before returning to production, Lively had even more script and note changes beyond what was already performed during Phase 1 of production. In the face of these terrifying and false accusations couched on demands, as well as Lively's threat that she would not return to production, Baldoni realized he had he needed to cede control of the script to Lively as she wished. His film would be taken from him by threats and coercion, and there was nothing he could do about it. In an email to his team containing the notes of his revised script, he expressed his sadness and frustration over Lively's takeover of a film that they spent years developing, writing, and funding. Having no energy left to fight, he sadly declared, quote, was waving the white flag and submitting, and would give Lively, quote, 98% of what she wants. He also expressed serious concern over how to handle the intimacy scenes given the accusations inherent in Lively's return to production demands. Baldoni asked his producing partner to guide him as he was rightfully afraid of the risk that something innocuous or not to Lively's standards would be likely used against him as it already had, quote. Continuing that creativity is impossible in an environment shrouded by fear. By now, we all know what she is capable of. Baldoni's fear of Lively's retaliation was palpable, but he was determined to, quote, get the film to the finish line for everyone involved. Then it shares that email and it highlights those exact points of what he says.
He doesn't want people to lose their job too. Like there's just so much on the line with this. There's so much collateral. Like he was put in a very sticky situation, but also this is why kindness is like candy and treat it as such, because you don't need to give candy to everyone. Not everyone deserves that sweetness from you. You know, like be very selective with your kindness. And that is an issue that definitely Justin had in this. He probably already learned that lesson. I guarantee he's definitely learned that lesson because that's what this lawsuit is giving. I've learned my lesson and now I'm about to take that. Now I'm about to take that. Now I'm about to take that. You're going to regret that. Also, I guess we'll get into that later, but we're almost to the end of hearing the lawsuit in full.
As producers continued to request the final shooting script, as they were just 4 days before commencement of filming, Baldoni worked hard with very limited time to rework the script and direction to meet Lively's demands, recognizing that they would be in a negotiation for what the final script looks like. Lively's demands continued to cause additional work and stress for the production team. Meanwhile, on the day before commencement of the second phase of filming, Lively casually reached out to Baldoni, together with Heath and Films producers, to meet in her home. Lively's return to production demands required a meeting before filming resumed. Get your drink, because this I read this a second ago. On the day before filming, Baldoni, Heath, and a Sony representative, the film's first assistant director, and 2 producers arrived with production binders in tow, excited to discuss details of resuming production. But Lively and her husband had a very different meeting in mind. Lively brought Reynolds in as her chosen representative. Notably, she did not request any attendees from her union.
But she was just mad about Justin calling a friend, which basically is another person in the industry, for a scene. Okay.
The Screen Actors Guild. Together, Reynolds and Lively blindsided the rest of the group with a list of grievances read aloud by Lively that were as troubling as they were fictional. She didn't even have her attorney or her agent there. Reynolds then launched into an aggressive tirade, berating Baldoni in what Baldoni later described as a traumatic experience. As Baldoni later said, he had never been spoken to like that in his life. I think Ryan Reynolds probably has like some demons. They both do. Reynolds demanded that Baldoni apologize to Lively for acting.
Or they're on something, allegedly. That's my assumption, in my opinion. Because it's giving that. It's giving 2 lunatics that are doing like some stuff. I'm just saying, y'all. I will not be surprised if we start hearing about that.
Actions that had either never happened or had been grossly miscategorized. Baldoni resisted apologizing for things he had not done, further enraging Reynolds. Everyone, including the producer Lively, had asked the production to engage, and the Sony representative left the meeting in shock. The producer said that in his 40-year career, he had never seen anyone speak to someone like that in a meeting. The Sony representative said later that she often thought of the meeting and her one regret was not intervening to stop Reynolds' tirade against Baldoni. Baldoni and Heath left the meeting deeply unsettled by Lively and Reynolds' behavior and the power dynamics at play. It was clear to them that this was the latest in the escalation in Lively's concerted campaign of extortion to extract concessions and creative control over the film, a campaign now apparently joined by Reynolds. Nonetheless, faced with persevering in the face of extortionist threats versus shutting down a film halfway through production with all of the attendant financial and reputational implications, Wayfarer had virtually no choice but to resume production and finish the film despite the newfound certainty that Lively was intentionally manipulating, distorting, and inventing facts to use as a cudgel against Wayfarer. The stakes could hardly have been higher for Wayfarer. Financiers had invested substantial resources, hundreds of cast and crew members had endured months without work due to the strikes, and years of development had gone into bringing the film to life. Moreover, Baldoni and Heath shared a conviction that It Ends With Us could still provide a powerful opportunity to center the voices of stories of domestic abuse survivors. I think that because Blake Lively didn't read the book, she's probably never, I don't know, I can't say that she's never had domestic abuse, but like she has a history of, like, you can see the people she's dated. There's no way she doesn't know what domestic violence is. There's no way she doesn't have a friend who hasn't suffered from some form of domestic violence. The fact that she didn't read the book really shows you how, like, out of touch she really just was with this, and how narcissistic it is that she wanted to be the one to take control over this film.
And also, I kind of want to double down a little bit and say also her white privilege and her white delusion is really peeking through. Because what I was just thinking about listening to all of this is the fact that if this was any other ethnicity, I don't think any of this would be happening. I just don't. I just do not. I do not. You're fired immediately off the set. And so she really is utilizing that white privilege. She's borderline abusing the white privilege so far. That and the white woman tears, the white delusion, there's so much here to unpack when it comes to that. And so it's not even just about narcissism, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's really just her privilege. And especially being like a celebrity and being in the industry for so long and having close ties with a very A-list top celebrity like Taylor Swift, delusional. It gives delusional. It gives so far, yes, like out of touch, where it's like you're so delusional within your white privilege that you think all of this is okay and that you're right. So much right that you can sue. Crazy. And that's scary. And that's why I always say white women y'all are scary sometimes, because the level of delusion that you guys can go to even deny reality and inventing facts, scary, dangerous.
It's crucial to note that the list of grievances read on January 4th, 2024 were new, separate, and apart from the 17-point return to production demands and were never presented to any of the parties present. Though Lively's CRD complaint misleadingly suggests the parties agreed to a list of 30 demands, many of the listed items on the CRD complaint were new, entirely based in lies, and neither read nor provided to any of the parties, let alone agreed to. The only document presented to the parties was the 17-point return to production demands presented on November 9th, 23, and signed over 2 weeks after this meeting on January 19th, 24. Lively's CRD complaint, which on information and beliefs she disseminated to the New York Times well in advance of any legal filings, is riddled with blatant and deliberate misrepresentations, as her complaint here. As Lively admits, filming resumed the following day and then concluded without any further grievances or references to previous disputes by Lively. Now that Lively has unleashed Reynolds on Baldoni and Wayfarer, they felt powerless to oppose the couple. Just as Lively had warned in April 2023, 9 months before, Reynolds would ensure that Lively's demands were met at every turn. In that same text message, she also says Taylor Swift will ensure her demands are met at every turn. From then on, Lively would get her way or else. Unmistakably, Lively would use her carefully constructed paper trail to destroy Wayfarer, Heath, Baldoni, and the film. Whoa. Next part is Lively completes her usurpation of the film. Follow this playlist. Follow
White privilege. Okay, I'm slowly unpacking what's going on here. Very interesting.
All right, we are still in it. I had to take a break, go get something to drink, do a little sleuthing to see what else was going on. Apparently, Taylor Swift just announced on her Instagram that she donated to the California wildfires. About fucking time. It's been burning for a week, girl. Like, you uploaded 2 Instagram stories, put out some more merch before you gave.
The day people stop looking at her as an advocate of anything, oh my gosh, I try to keep my opinions with Taylor Swift silent, but at this point, I really shouldn't, and no one should, because she's the most performative activist I've ever seen in my life. Jesus.
Gave the money from your Swifties to the people who actually need it. Anyway, let's continue before let's talk about part F. Lively completes her usurpation of the film. The Directors Guild of America requires a 10-week editing period for directors to privately edit and assemble their director's cut. This period is sacrosanct, as it gives the director uninterrupted time to creatively shape the final product, a time to experiment, take risks, and refine until the film fully reflects their artistic vision. Where's the director's cut? For Baldoni, this period is the peak experience of the filmmaking process, a time to immerse himself in the creative craft, free from external influences. But Lively denied Baldoni this experience on this powerful and deeply felt film. Lively requested through producer Tom Black to join Baldoni in the editing bay. As a seasoned professional with over 20 years of experience in film and television, not to mention growing up in a family deeply involved in the industry, Lively knew full well the implications of her request. But in the aftermath of the serious false allegations that she had leveled against Baldoni, Heath, and Wayfarer and the production, with the pressure from Sony, they reluctantly agreed to give her access to the editing bay for 2 days. Notably, despite her allegations that Baldoni made her uncomfortable, Lively insisted on working closely with him through this process. Then there shares a text message from Baldoni. Good morning, Blake. Blank and I had a great chat the other day, and he let me know you'd like to come into the edit before you leave for your film, and I think that's a great idea. I agree that we can work really well together, and with all you've put into the film, I completely understand wanting to give notes and have input before you leave for your other movie. With that, I started my cut on
other movie. Who's hiring this girl? She can barely act. I'm just appalled. And also, can we get some fresh? This is why I don't even watch like entertainment like that, like big cinema. I don't watch that stuff because it's all the same people regurgitated in the same roles multiple times over. Stop hiring this girl. Ugh.
on Thursday, so tomorrow will be day 3. The movie is currently all over the place. Hold on, there's a helicopter. Okay. The movie is currently all over the place, and I need a few weeks to get it in some sort of shape to even present to you. What I would love to do is bring you in on the 18th and have us all work together until you leave. Did I hear first week of April? Then, once you are in Italy, as things progress, you can jump in on any free days or even on days you have a long wait between scenes. I'm also happy to send you progress scenes with any big changes that are made, as we all know things change all the time during a cut. For me, the editing process is the time to try things and throw it all together, throw it all against the wall to see what sticks. It's my favorite part of the process. So once you take off, we can just keep you in the loop and send you stuff to the extent you want to see, and we can get closer to locking in the picture. She responds, "Hey, thank you for the note. I appreciate it. I'd love to be in the passenger seat with you as soon as possible. I don't need you to formally present anything. I understand you've just seen the first assembly and have a mountain ahead of you. I'll be invaluable to you in recall alone as you put together what you're looking for. I've also been rewatching all the dailies. Tons of nuanced gems. The sooner we put our heads together, the better. Very excited to dive back into the work. Let me know. Hey Blake, I hear you and I do know how helpful you have been and will continue to be. I do need some time to get sorted with my editors and wrap my head around the film itself. I will reach out to you at the end of the week to let you know the progress I have made, so we can figure out the best time for you to start with me." In February and March 2024, Baldoni accepted to the request that Lively be let in, or acceded to the request that Lively be let in to the editing process. Then it shows a screenshot. Editor number 1. "Hey, just checking in. Hope you're hanging in there. We're going to get through this, damn it. Thanks for checking in." This is from Baldoni. "I've sat with it, and I think the best path forward spiritually and what's best for the movie is that I just suck it up and let her in. I've sent a message requesting that it start on the 18th, and then we would let her in until she leaves, and then her cuts and updates throughout the process. I'll let you know what she says. Thanks for being awesome, Dream Team. Editor number 2, we've got you. Editor number 1, I think that sounds like a good plan on all fronts." Side note from Justin: "I offered for her to join on the 18th, and she replied she'd like to join now because she will be invaluable to me as she knows every take. I'm going to stick to the date and see how that goes and what comes next. Editor number 1, oi. Editor number 2, stick to it. Editor number 1, when you get a moment, could I please get an ADR line from you for the karaoke scene? And you don't do casual. I'll send you an audio reference."
The entire team of this movie are fighting for their lives just to get it done. Imagine. It's like just making your job miserable, something that you also love doing. It seems like Justin loves doing this. He's very passionate about the topic. He actually does the work, has the proof of doing the work outside of his career. So I never even heard of this man.
Then there are more text messages. Editor number 1, "Okay, let me put together some of the real 5. The last scene was only half finished, so I will swap in the last version temporarily." Editor number 2, "And hopefully Blank is working on SC11 sound pass this morning." Okay. "Also, I think a valuable thing to do next week is going to get both of you in the system set up with a way that you'll be able to find all takes very quickly based on whatever you are both comfortable with, because I know for a fact that this is going to be something that Blake is going to end up doing. And the less time we can spend searching for takes, the better overall process." Then they say, "Let me know if you guys need anything. I'm in LA at my office until preview. For Blake, I should say 9:30 to 3 each day, and gives you guys 3 hours of extra notes and other things, or 10 to 3. Editor number 1, 10, that gives us wiggle room for any powwows before we meet with her. Editor number 2, either works for me. It would be good to have time before and after." Back to the complaint. 1.137. Later in March 2024, Lively continued pushing for demands as what had been a 2-day collaboration extended into 10, and Lively sought to work alone in the editing bay without Baldoni so that she had full control. Though Baldoni incorporated 7 pages of her notes into the edit at the very start and consistently kept her involved in every subsequent edit, despite having absolutely no obligation to do so, Lively was not satisfied with merely collaborating with the director. She wanted to be the director and see her own creative vision for the film realized. Then there are more text messages shared. And this says, "Thank you for getting all those organized like that," from editor 1. Baldoni, we should all hop when we can tomorrow. Whatever works for you guys. I let her know we tested. She's asked for all the cards and data as well. Oh, editor number 1. Oh wow, I was wondering if you were going to. I think it was the right call. The Best Defense is a great movie. I know we talked about a 10 a.m. start for tomorrow with Blake, which I think would be a good idea. I think it's important that we meet with Blake beforehand in the morning so we can launch her working on music while we're working with Blake. And she's fresh eyes, so we can talk to her about the things that come up in the screening. Okay, and then there's just some more text messages exchanged. This one outlined in red here says, "I want Blake to feel like she's getting what she wants so we can move on from this need of hers. For the record, she's been getting what she wants this entire movie." So that first part is from an editor, and the second part is from Justin saying, "For the record." And then he also says, "And she's good, and she's getting to edit, which is what she wants. Let's remember that, LOL." And then another point of the text message is pointed out from editor 1 that says, "Justin has been over backwards for her for months on end." And then there's more text messages, screenshots of entire text messages, not doctored at all. Justin says that's going to end up being a Blake call, honestly. She has approval over that scene. When she claimed she was unsafe,
What are her qualifications to be a director? No, actually, and a producer. She's an actress. You know what I mean? Like, not every single football player could be a football coach. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, do you understand? I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding. Such bad PR. And even if you had a desire to break into that industry, break into that role, this is not the way you do it. Basically, again, manhandling everything and taking control of everything. That's why I feel like she's almost like just Ryan's little puppet in a sense. But I don't want that statement to take away the accountability that she's an adult individual making her own actions and choices. So that's on her. Crazy. We're almost done, by the way, with all these parts.
We did the nudity rider to get approval of young Lily too. It's all about control, so she could get to where she will be next week. All good. Finally, in May 2024, Lively's extortionist threats coerced Sony to allow her to create her own cut of the film, a right that is exclusively reserved for directors. At Wayfarer and Sony's expense, and despite Baldoni and Wayfarer's rightful protests, Sony's reasons for acquiescing to these beyond unreasonable demands were clear. Sony told Wayfarer in no uncertain terms that Lively refused to promote the film unless her demands were met. Wayfarer, feeling increasingly coerced into agreeing into Lily's demands, attempted to at least to require that Lively finally sign her engagement contract if her demands were to be met. Even this basic ask was refused, and Sony urged Wayfarer to give in. Wow.
Wow is an understatement. Almost forgot to unmute myself. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Oh my God. Baldoni and the film's original editors were not even allowed to see Lively's cut, even if just to see how much of their work had been replaced. Then there are text messages. If you're just jumping into this, we're reading the actual complaint. We're not just taking what People magazine or the gossip magazines are telling us what the lawsuit says. We're actually going into it and reading it. And also, no, Taylor Swift is not named directly. There are text messages shared that...
Thank you, Maggie. Tell these people, read past a headline. Read past a headline. Read multiple sources. Pull up the actual lawsuit. I don't understand what's so difficult about that, especially if you're going to create content around the topic. Please.
That show Blake calling Taylor her dragon, which is just fucking weird. But anyway, these screenshots of this text message say, "We focus on what's best for the film. It will all work out." That's from Justin Baldoni. Then he also says, just curious if you guys have peeked at her cut and if anything has changed. Editor 2 says, I've just been told that we are not permitted to look. Justin Baldoni, the editors and directors isn't allowed to look at an actress's cut? Got it. Well, here we go. We will keep taking the high road. Still believing that in a sane and just world, despite Lively's continued extortion, an actress would never be allowed to usurp his legal right as a director to create and release his cut of the film, he assumed that Lively's edits would simply supplement his work. Thus, Baldoni continued refining his director's cut, but as Lively threatened to refuse to promote the film or approve any market-related materials such as trailers, posters, or social media posts, a doomsday scenario for the major motion picture, Wayfarer and Baldoni were extorted into acquiescing to more and more demands. This included co-funding, together with Sony, a friends and family screening of her version of the film, which they had not approved or even seen, entirely at Lively's insistence. Ultimately, Lively replaced the film's editors with her own choice, an editor often used by Reynolds, and the film's editor had to be let go. She also replaced the film's award-winning composer with composers from Reynolds' recent project, even though the film's composer had already finished the score with an orchestra, which is costly. Sony supported Lively's demands and even enforced her dictate that the film's directors and editors not be permitted to view her cut. What the fuck, Sony? What the actual fuck? Wayfarer and Sony found themselves in the unprecedented and uncomfortable predicament of having two competing versions of the film, one made by the film's actual director and one made by a person with no contractual or creative right to even approach the editing bay, let alone make her own cut. But in light of Lively's threats to withhold promotion of the film, as well as a thinly veiled threat to end Baldoni's career with a slew of false accusations, the studio reluctantly agreed to do an additional audience test of both versions, again at Wayfarer and Sony's expense. The decision was made on the understanding that Lively had agreed with Sony that if Baldoni's director's cut tested higher, she would drop the matter and fully cooperate.
Nah, who works with Sony? Who was working with Sony on this film? Like, for real. For real, because they're part of the problem here. Institutions upholding this white delusion and privilege. What are we talking about? What are we actually talking about? Sony, what are you... Because maybe, like, in Sony's eyes, Blake Lively is a critically acclaimed name. Like, wake up, though. Read the room, because who else agrees with that? Like, please be serious.
So that Baldoni could finish the film without further interference. Tellingly, in a side-by-side comparison of audience tests, Baldoni's cut scored significantly higher with key audience demographics. Then it has text messages circled. In our key demo, over 20% higher in the excellent rating, 15% higher than the definite recommended. That says it all. Editor 1. The only group she went up with in the excellent category was men, and they are absolutely not our audience, and that's only because she focused more on the movie, on herself, and men likely to look at Blake Lively. Men are such pigs. Not surprisingly, Lively reneged on her promise and insisted that her version be released to the public instead of Baldoni's cut as director, even claiming that the book author, Colleen Hoover, would refuse to promote the film as well if Lively's version was not chosen. Sony called to tell Wayfarer that neither Lively nor any of the cast would promote the film unless Lively's cut were used. Baldoni was forced to choose between killing the film and his own career by insisting on his own creative vision and rights, or putting a version out of the film that Baldoni knew should be so important to domestic violence survivors, even if it directly differed greatly from what it could have been. Baldoni...
Colleen Hoover, I need you to the front as well. To the front. To the front. Because what do you mean? Is that true? Because not, you need to be suing Blake too. Because what do you mean? You're gonna select, not the white girl sticking together. Oh, it's giving click. Ew. This is like ew. This is giving me ill, icky vibes.
Reluctantly chose the latter and stood down, allowing Lively's version of the film to be released and promoted. Baldoni was essentially forced to fire himself as director and allow Lively to finish the film, knowing it was the only choice he could make to serve the greater good. 2 days later, Baldoni was hospitalized with a serious spine infection. Oof, and if you know me, I'm here to tell you what different parts of the body represent as well, because every physical manifestation that happens in your body has some kind of mental cause. And here in this book, it literally says, the probable cause of issues with the spine is because it is flexible support of life. And he doesn't feel supported. He doesn't feel supported at all. And that's like That didn't help. Eventually, with the key demographic being the focus, Sony and Screen Engine, the audience testing company, convinced Lively to put back as much of Baldoni's edit as they possibly could. None of this was officially communicated to Baldoni, but whispers reached him that part of his cut made it back into the final release. Baldoni made sure to thank and apologize to his editors, whom Lively had caused to be let go. Baldoni, I'm so sorry. I love you and adore both of you and will fight for you and your recognition and sing your praises to the end. This will all work out. It's painful, but it will be okay, and we can rest knowingly that we have created a beautiful work of art together, and yet I'm so sorry. And then it's a photo of him in the hospital with his wife kissing him. Then it's another screenshot with the editor number 1 circled, "Holy cow, feel better. We didn't want to bug you during all of this, but our secret source has let us know that the new version they are previewing tomorrow has a bunch of our version put back in. We just have to keep it quiet because we want to keep our back channel open. Feel better. Get well soon. We love you, and all of this craziness, health and movie is going to work out." By June 2024, Lively was dictating much of the marketing for the film she had stolen from Baldoni and Wayfarer. Baldoni sends a text.
I blame these idiots on social media that are saying, this is how you could be a digital marketer. This is how you could be a marketer. This is how you could be a marketer. Oh, be a marketer today with no degree, no training, no nothing. It's giving that, because that's why Blake Lives Up here creating marketing strategies. But again, what are the credentials? Run the credentials. I'm so tired of people doing stuff. Where are the credentials? And especially with social media, up-to-date credentials, please. Oh my God.
Message, and the response is underlined, "If Blake is so determined to handle the marketing on the movie, then just let her." Lively shamelessly removed Baldoni, the film's co-star, director, and executive producer who had championed this film for 5 years and whose company had co-funded the entire project, out of all posters, trailers, and other promotional material. She continued to refuse to promote the film otherwise. This is Taylor Swift's friend. This is who she spends time with. You're like the 5 most people you spend the most time with. Take that into effect.
I just said this. Yes, Maggie. Clock the tea. Please. I'm so tired of these people just idolizing trash influencers and celebrities. I'm so over it. I'm so like, can we please leave that in 2024? Like, leave that in the past. Don't bring that with us in 2025. Birds of the same feather flock together.
For Sony's objection, Lively insisted on screening her cut at Book Bonanza, Colleen Hoover's annual convention hosting authors and fans from around the world, an event that Baldoni had long been excited to attend, but Sony made it known that Wayfarer that, per Lively, Baldoni could not attend, notwithstanding the obvious promotional and PR risks. Lively appeared on the panel alongside Hoover and other cast members, icing out Baldoni from the critical event for his own film. He was not even allowed to review the final cut before it was shown to the world. What the actual fuck? Another screenshot of a text message with red underline, "Eye on the prize. Her attending BookCon is a win for the film ultimately." Underline, "You can be home with your family." She's kicked me, his response, "She's kicked me out officially from the film now. She's finishing it all. I can't be involved. Music, sound, voice effects, everything. I'll make it through somehow. Just need to feel it." Then some more screenshots of text messages. "They are showing it at Book Bonanza. The whole movie. Yep, hers. Wow. Justin, was supposed to be ours and then I was uninvited. Whole thing is pretty cruel and intense. Editor 1, unfucking believable. Editor 1, still hope you love for at least stomach the cut that is going to be out in the world. Haven't seen it, can't yet," is his response. By July 2024, Baldoni was completely locked out of the film's final cut. By virtue of his role at Wayfarer, he was permitted to give notes as a studio. This only added insult to injury because he said he should not have been giving notes. He should have been editing the film. Despite his personal feelings, he redirected his thoughts to focus on one positive. The film, years in the making, was very close to being seen by the world, even if it was no longer his film. He prayed for the possibility that the film could still make an impact he intended when he first reached out to Colleen in 2019. And then there's more screenshots from the editors and him, underlined, "And any updates on our little movie?" Next underline from Justin, "I have not seen the locked cut of the film. Evidently it's been worked on more and she's been mixing. I'm getting to give notes as a studio today, not as director. Very hard, but I'm okay." We made a beautiful baby together. The baby might not grow up exactly how we thought, but it's still beautiful. That's what I'm holding on to. Very proud of us. Editor number 1. The last I heard was that she was putting back a fair amount of her version, just not sure what that entailed or to what extent. I guess you'll find out. Then there's more screenshots. Lively was still not satisfied. She continued to extort Wayfarer, Baldoni, and even Sony, threatening to abandon her contractual obligation to promote the film or approve marketing materials if she wasn't awarded a producer credit. And though Wayfarer had refused long ago to accede to this request when it was made during initial negotiations, Wayfarer now had his back against the wall and again had to concede. This still wasn't enough. Lively later sought the coveted PGA mark on her producer credit, a certified designation license to the Producers Guild of America, to identify producers who have performed the majority of the producing work on a motion picture. Neither Baldoni nor Wayfarer believed Lively fulfilled this requisite criteria to earn this mark, but that did not matter to Lively. Well, I guess that producer credit was worth it, because there doesn't seem like she's ever going to work again. That's the last time that somebody will work with her. Oh my.
That's what I'm saying. What is the goal here? What is there? It couldn't be to continue a career. And again, at this point, I'm thinking she doesn't even have a team. There's no way she could have a team. At least not the one that she listens to.
All right, we're back with another part. We are going through the 179-page complaint filed by Justin Baldoni today in the New York court against Blake Lively. This is a $400 million lawsuit. Don't take that lightly. $400 million. And as we're reading this, we have seen that this is like the saddest thing that could ever happen to a director. And it is beyond understandable why he is suing her. Let's keep going. Point 154. Lively demanded again with extortionist threats that Baldoni, Heath, and other producers and directors heads send letters to the PGA in support of her certification for the PGA mark, despite unanimous recognition of the absurdity and the unmistakably extortionate threats.
This is also just such a slap in the face of people that go to school, get educated for these careers, just to have literally a girl from Gossip Girl just walk in and take it all just because she can. That's disgusting.
Sony and other parties, despite being adamant not to support Lively's demands for the unentitled mark, ultimately acquiesced and submitted letters of support. Who the fuck at Sony is like riding Blake Lively's dick like this? However, Wayfarer and Baldoni firmly resisted.
I can tell you right now what they probably look like. Okay.
Because Lively did not perform the duties of a producer and therefore did not merit the PGA mark, a distinction highly valued and taken seriously within the industry. Wayfarer and Baldoni refused to devalue the contributions of actual producers on the film and elsewhere who merited the mark, and were unwilling to misrepresent Lively's contributions to the film. Having been forced in the face of extortionate threats to concede to Lively's every demand thus far, they believed it would be dishonest, unethical, and unjust to producers who rightfully earned the mark to falsely represent to the PGA that Lively had fulfilled the requisite producing responsibilities. Asking that they lie on her behalf was the final straw, or so they thought. In response, Blakely instructed Sony to tell Wayfarer and Baldoni that, quote, any goodwill left between us is done. Narcissist. Eventually, in the face of persistent threats and extortion, Wayfarer and Baldoni were left with little choice but to draft and sign a letter in support of Lively's behalf, but not before Heath sent an email to Wayfarer's attorney documenting that he and Baldoni were signing the letter under duress. And then it has the letter. It has his email. I'm willing, hi everyone, this is from Jamie Heath. I'm writing to you all regarding a letter that I wrote on behalf of Justin and myself addressed to the Producers Guild. As you know, we received a request to write a recommendation on behalf of Blake for her to receive the PGA mark. This was a request that we feel was unreasonable and cold-hearted. Essentially, the movie has been taken unjustly from Justin as a director and essentially from Wayfarer's control due to the extortion of Blake. Without going into all the details of the events that have transpired over the months, Justin and I ended up agreeing to write this letter due to feeling trapped. She continues to hold a threat over our heads at every time we try to hold a line. She uses that threat either directly or indirectly to get us to fold. Make no mistake, I am not suggesting that we were literally forced to acquiesce, but given the high profile of the movie, the partnership with Sony, the amount of money invested, and the need to complete the movie, we have written a letter on her behalf, omitting the truth of how and why she was able to contribute in the lines we listed. There is nothing to do with this letter now. It only serves as a way to memorialize why the letter was sent in the first place, should we ever need to explain it. And they include the letter. Oh my God. Dear members of the Producers Guild of America, we hope this letter finds you well. We are writing to inform you of the significant role and contributions that Blake Lively has played in the making of the film It Ends With Us. The film has meant a great deal, both personally to our company, Wayfarer Studios, as we optioned the property nearly 5 years ago. As such, we've been directly involved in overseeing every step of the development, from adapting the book to the big screen to bringing on the co-financier, distributor Sony, and of course casting our lead. From the time Blake was brought on, she has been an instrumental voice in many different aspects in the making of the film. Her contributions have been impactful as she consulted with many the casting options. She helped to refine the script. She redesigned her own wardrobe as well as given notes on others. She contributed to the production design and set decoration and had influence on how many of the scenes were shot. Blake has been very involved in the post-process as well. She has been an active role in the edit, the sound mix, and has made decisions on the music selections and score. She also continues to find creative ways to promote the film so that it can achieve its greatest success. Since contractually she began with the movie with an EP credit, our earlier submission to the PGA did not include her as a producer, but we both feel the contributions have warranted the revised credit and consideration for the PGA mark. Wow. As the premise of, they're 158 now. As the premise of the film approached, Lively made good on her promise and instructed Sony that she and the cast would not participate in any marketing or promotion of the film alongside Baldoni, in spite of Baldoni and Wayfarer's acquiescing to all of her demands. She made certain that Baldoni was removed from all the artwork from the film.
So she is the marketing and PR behind the movie, essentially. Because she's the editor, she's the director, she's the producer, she's everything. What is going on? And with no credentials other than being in things. What? And then to get certified through the PGA on top of it. Again, people work their entire lives and educate themselves for these fields for someone like her to literally just get it just because.
Included, and stripped him of his A Film By credit. Lively and Reynolds also unfollowed him on social media, as did the author of the book, someone with whom Baldoni had maintained a 5-year personal.
Colleen to the front. To the front, Colleen. And don't worry, because I have a video about Colleen after this. We're almost done. I think this is like the second to we have one more video, and then we're done with that. And then we're going to get into some reactions and some other things that have come out. Y'all.
Relationship, and for whom Baldoni created the opportunity. Wow. This shows you how manipulative and conniving Blake Lively really is. The other cast members also unfollowed Baldoni, creating the false impression that Baldoni had done something wrong. On information and belief, Lively induced the other cast members to shun Baldoni in an early attempt to give fans the impression that Baldoni had committed an egregious sin, something so egregious that no one wanted to even take photos with him or have him around. Lively was leaving what she had earlier referred to as crumbs, a social media strategy she had learned from a close celebrity friend, to give fans just enough to allow them to come to their own conclusions, thereby launching an army of...
Y'all, I'm right. I am. I hate to break to y'all, but I'm right. This trend and wave of people going online, being social media marketers, digital marketers. I'm going to show you how to be a stay-at-home mom to be a social media marketer. No degree needed, no high school education, like nothing needed. You could just do it passively. So a cute little side hustle. You know, the top side hustle for the year is digital. You could be a marketer. You can. It's literally making me want to leave the career field. Just pack the whole field up. I'm not even kidding you guys, because it's embarrassing. There's people like this that get I can't. I see this happening all of the time, and it's frustrating. I actually did a video on it, and it was how the influencer culture is shifting. And again, or maybe I haven't made the video yet. I'm not sure. It might be in there. And if not, then what I'm meaning to discuss, and I might have that video filmed, is there's this how to be a content creator in 2025. And they're telling you the most mundane, basic advice. And the video goes viral for no. It's just like there's so much with this. But to the point that it's gone so far that Blake Lively, a celebrity, is taking like basically just word of mouth advice from someone that, again, do they have credentials? Basically another celeb. Y'all are annoying. Y'all are actually annoying. Just go to school and get educated in the career.
Detectives that, on information and belief, Lively hoped would turn against Baldoni. The unfollowing of Baldoni by cast members and even the author of the book, who had a long-standing relationship with, was done without warning or any communication from them, in stark contrast to the warm praise and appreciation cast members had until that point, always showered on him. For example, Isabella Ferreira, cast as young Lily, exchanged grateful texts with Baldoni during and after the filming stint, which included a number of scenes involving intimacy. You did awesome today, so happy to be working with you. She says, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Thank you for being a great director and being so wonderful to work with. Let me know whenever you need me or anything. And then there's continued text messages from that. But wow. Just wow. Tellingly, Ferrer worked with Baldoni when Lively was not on the set. It was not until Ferrer spent substantial time with Lively during film promotions that Ferrer felt compelled to shun Baldoni in repudiation of her warm words. It became clear that Lively was laying the groundwork to explain away her theft of the film and exile of Baldoni. Presumably, she was concerned that her shocking conduct would be frowned upon if it became widely known. Baldoni had no intention of ever making this information public. In fact, as co-star of the film, both he and his studio, who co-financed the film, had spent millions of dollars, had every reason to want the film to succeed. Any suggestion otherwise is illogical. Baldoni promoted the film as originally intended, gave Lively full credit and praise, and had done everything in his power at every painful turn of making this film with Lively to ensure the film succeeded. He wanted to move on. Lively, however, would not let it go. Baldoni later received word that during the premiere of his movie Deadpool and Wolverine, Reynolds approached Baldoni's agency, namely an executive at WME, and expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, suggesting the agency was working with a sexual predator, a phrase that is not uncoincidentally later appeared in the press, and at a later date demanded that the agent drop Baldoni. His wielding of power and influence became undeniable. Baldoni and Wayfarer grew increasingly fearful of what Lively and Reynolds were capable of, as their actions seemed aimed at destroying Baldoni's character and personal life. The pivotal moment terrified Baldoni and ultimately caused him to seek help anywhere he could to protect his reputation, his partners, and his wife and his children and family from false accusations that could ruin his life. That right there is intentional infliction of emotional distress. Despite desperate, terrified, and in his position for the first time, he sought expert guidance and was advised to engage in crisis PR to be ready in case Reynolds and Lively decided to unleash their wrath on him. As is customary, a proposal was prepared for him with available measures and quotes of what each suggested measure would cost. The proposal, wrongfully obtained from the very public relations company that once represented Baldoni, with whom he had recently severed ties, was later used by Lively to knowingly and falsely assert that Baldoni had agreed to the most aggressive option in the proposal. Lively falsely and ironically alleges Baldoni sent out a smear campaign to destroy Lively, despite the thousands of documents she alleges to have that prove otherwise. Notwithstanding, Lively, her team, and the Times worked in concert to cherry-pick, deliberately misconstrue, splice, and alter private communications to manufacture a self-serving and factually baseless narrative. And here we get into what is included and excluded in the text messages. This next part is going to be good. Follow me and follow this right down here. Jump in. All right, we are talking about the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively lawsuit and how the lawyer in this case has strategically placed basically a target on Taylor Swift's head, saying that Blake Lively learned everything that she did from Taylor Swift. Here are the inclusion and excluded text messages that they did. This is the PR part where we saw these text messages. This shows what was included and excluded from the text messages that were shared in Blake Lively's lawsuit. Okay, here we can see we've got what's included, what's excluded, included, excluded. Shows what was included and excluded from the text messages that were shared in Blake Lively's lawsuit. Okay, here we can see.
Y'all, I'm trying to see. We invited. Of course not. Okay, so we've seen these before, but that's what's excluded. Of course not, but I told him that's the point of talking through. Included, he has excluded. Ooh, manipulating messages, manipulating language. I mean, this is PR, yeah, but it's terrible PR. So again, it couldn't be done by an actual professional in the field. You know what I mean? Like,
we've got what's included, what's excluded, included, excluded. Okay. We've got more. Included, excluded, included, excluded, excluded, excluded. This says, of course not, but I told him that's the point of talking through. If it's only consultation, he's like with this everything. Highly stresses, high anxiety. Okay. This here, all excluded. We can see from here. Can pause to read it. And let's get back into it. So if you want to go and find this, you can see these text messages. I'm sure someone will pull all of these text messages out and post them on TikTok to show you what's excluded and what's not excluded. Whew, throat's getting dry. Point 163.
we appreciate your service, Maggie. Thank you.
Page 100. Meanwhile, Lively systemically excluded Baldoni from all marketing and promotional efforts with her in the cast of the film. He was not invited to any cast promotional events, cast screenings, premieres, photo shoots, or other cast campaigns. Baldoni was marginalized from the marketing process. The purported marketing plan, allegedly curated by Sony, which was later referenced in Lively's CRD complaint as agreed to by all and attached as an exhibit as fact, even though it was merely talking points, is not a binding contract, was never the plan Baldoni agreed to. It ends with us, and then it has the actual, it has these talking points in here. It has like the Google Doc saved in it. In fact, against much resistance from the film's distributor, Baldoni from day one made it clear that he was making this film to bring awareness to domestic violence and would not refrain from doing so when promoting the film. He did not go rogue, as Lively alleges. While in Sweden celebrating his wife's birthday, Baldoni was informed that Lively demanded he not attend the film's premiere on August 6, 2024. Lively further threatened that if Baldoni attended the premiere, she and the majority of the cast would boycott. It remained unclear what Lively had communicated to or promised the cast, but they now all also refused to attend if Baldoni was present. The fact that Sony advised Wayfarer to concede underscores Lively and Reynolds' immense power and influence. Baldoni and Wayfarer refused to succumb to the bullying tactics amid excluding them from the premiere of the film, a project they had financed, produced, and owned. This threat marked the culmination of a year-long campaign of intimidation, harassment, and civil extortion. Although objectively egregious and shocking, the Wayfarer team had unfortunately grown accustomed to bullying, fully aware of the immense power this couple wielded and the far-reaching extent of their influence. However, they refused to give in to their entirely unreasonable demand and valiantly searched for a compromise with Lively so that they could attend the premiere of the film that Baldoni had directed and co-starred in, and that Wayfarer had co-financed and produced. Heath moved mountains to negotiate a scenario that Lively would permit with the help of Sony, as Lively refused to speak to anyone connected with Wayfarer. Just days before the film's premiere, Baldoni was still unsure if he would be allowed to attend. His director and family, mostly traveling from outside of New York, were left in limbo, unable to finalize their travel plans or book flights. Baldoni did the best he could to hide his pain, despite still not Having seen the final cut of his movie he co-starred, he co-financed and directed. He wanted to celebrate the culmination of his years of work with his family and friends. Justin Baldoni text to editor 2. Long story, but we won't be in the same room. I was asked to not even come to the premiere. I can figure it out. Another text. Well, if you decide to change your mind last minute, let me know and let's figure it out together. Editor 2. It's been hard for me to sit and watch the final film. Just cheer for us when our names come up. Finally, through Sony, Wayfair persuaded Lively to permit Baldoni and the Wayfarer team, along with their friends and family, to attend, though only under demeaning and humiliating conditions. They were regulated to a separate theater to view the film, required to arrive at a different time than the rest of the cast, and instructed to leave the red carpet immediately once Lively arrived. Baldoni was also excluded from the...
Again, remind me how this is good PR. Like, remind me about how any of this was going to go good for anyone involved. Because even for Justin, this is terrible. This is like, he didn't want to go through this. This is terrible. He probably didn't want to sue and do all of this. This is ridiculous. A waste of time for nothing, but and a waste of resources as well, too. Not a waste in terms of that it's needed and that what he's saying is not true, but a waste in terms of it didn't even have to get here if everyone just did their jobs. If you just stayed an actress. What?
Official celebrity after party, despite it being ultimately paid for by Sony and Wayfair. As a result, Baldoni had to quickly organize a fund, a separate after party for himself and the Wayfarer team, forcing the company to cover the cost for the two events, one for Lively and everyone else, and one for Baldoni and the Wayfarer's own family, friends, crew, and team. Upon arrival, Baldoni began participating in red carpet photos and interviews about the presence of the remainder of the cast. However, his time on the red carpet was abruptly cut short when it was conveyed that Lively was on her way, and he was instructed to stop immediately. He and his family were quickly ushered away, security personnel acting as though there was a risk of escape, escorted Baldoni's group to the basement of the building. There, they were confined to a makeshift holding area surrounded by concession stand stock with only folding tables and chairs arranged in a square. There's a picture. Surrounded by close friends, family, soda bottles, and a lot of love, the irony of being held in a basement on what was arguably one of the most important nights of Baldoni's career thus far was not lost on anyone. And here is the photo. That's just tragic. That's just bad. Oh my God, they're literally taking photos on pallets.
That's what I said in my last video. Not there by the water. This is crazy. But again, such supportive individuals here. Because again, and that be me too with my bestie and my friend and my family member. Yup. Photo op with the gallons, with the water. Yup. And what about it? Still looking better than you. Yup.
Wow. Sorry, the sun. Okay, let's put you over here. Once the main theater was deemed clear of Lively and her guests, Baldoni and his group were ushered into a separate theater to view the film. At the conclusion of the screening, they were again escorted out of the building by security to avoid even a chance of interaction with Lively and her guests. The Wayfarer after party, held separately from the celebrity event and attended by crew, was a dry gathering in part to acknowledging the known negative relationship between alcohol and domestic violence. It was attended by the entire Wayfarer team from Los Angeles and their friends and family. The atmosphere and tone of the Wayfarer after party were aligned with Baldoni's vision for the film, focusing on celebration, gratitude, despite being humiliated. In the meantime, Baldoni was sidelined as Lively and Sony pressed forward with their promotional strategy for the film. By contrast, Baldoni's marketing plan, outlined in his initial proposal to Sony years prior, shared with Lively and communicated numerous times to both Sony and Lively, centered on a partnership with the organization No More. Founded in 2013, No More is a global initiative aimed at raising awareness, inspiring action, and sparking conversations to end domestic violence. Wayfair's collaboration with the organization began in 2022 and held deep personal significance. Staying true to his purpose for undertaking the film, Baldoni prioritized amplifying the voices of survivors of domestic violence. His efforts reflected the heart of the film story and its profound impact on audiences. These genuine efforts aimed at amplifying the voices of survivors impacted by the film were later miscategorized and weaponed against Baldoni. In the end, empowered by her celebrity firepower and her powerful allies, Lively did exactly what she set out to do. She took someone else's movie for her own, destroying years of creative vision and carefully planning in service of her own brand-building campaign. But why would Lively even seek to seize the power over the film? Why would she insist on taking additional work for no additional pay or credit? On information and belief, Lively may have been motivated by a number of factors. She may have wanted to seize control over the film so she could take over the production of the sequel, It Starts With Us. This motivation also explains why the cast, who may have hoped and or been promised a role in subsequent productions, would choose to side with the powerful couple who themselves may genuinely believed they could destroy Baldoni and Wayfarer and force them to cede or even sell the rights to the sequel. Or Lively may have felt driven to match her Stan husband Ryan Reynolds, who is widely reported to have insisted on taking control over the film Deadpool 2 that the director Tim Miller left the production. Seeing the famous success that Reynolds commanded, she may have adopted his oft-repeated pattern wholesale to seize her own power and control, following his lead and evidenced by many statements by Lively that he is involved in every project she works on and vice versa. Lively and Reynolds, accustomed to getting their way, perhaps felt entitled. And if you haven't seen the interview with Tim Miller where he talks about how Ryan Reynolds was literally like demeaning him and why he quit, you should definitely watch that, because this couple is super toxic and this lawyer pulled back the veil. Let's continue on.
I actually believe that's the last part on it, because that's not in the order of what I have things, or in the order that I have things. This is not the next video. Let me just check, because I have our TikTok open. Another tab here. Okay, wait, actually I think there's one more video. Let me just collect it and then I'll be right back. Okay, this is the last part of Maggie's series, and then we're gonna get into some things that I've heard now. And I'm probably not gonna edit this video either, because it's definitely been a long one.
Okay, I skipped ahead a bunch. At the bottom, the case is a simple one. Lively used her power to steal a movie from its director and production studio. Then she held them hostage to her incessant demands by extortionate threats to destroy what they had left. All the while, she failed to understand the heart and soul of the movie she stole and the book it was based on, let alone the intensely personal impact the book had on millions worldwide. When her thoughtless promotions fell flat because they focused on flowery glamour and cross-merchandising opportunities for her own brands rather than centering the voices of survivors, she finally got a taste of accountability, and she did not care for it. She made one final demand to plaintiffs, that they all finally and forever fall on the sword for her by apologizing for things they had not done, killing their future prospects in the process. When they refused, defendants' gloves came off, and they used their power and resources to try to take down plaintiffs for good by coordinating with Jones and Sloan, master practitioners of the dark arts of public relations. In an intricately planned character assassination plot, they nearly pulled it off, too. Defendants have cost plaintiffs their film, their reputations, their future prospects, even their talent agencies. It is time to rebalance the scales. And here we have the causes of action. First, civil extortion against Lively, Reynolds, Sloan, and Vision. Plaintiffs hereby repeat, reiterate, reallege, and incorporate by reference each and every allegation of the complaint as it is set forth herein. Defendants made threats to plaintiffs that they knew would be wrongful, including threats to breach contacts, defame plaintiffs, and injure. Defendants' threats included demands that money, property, services, and other sources of value be conferred upon defendants without consideration or contractual entitlement thereunto. Plaintiffs complied with the wrongful demand. Plaintiffs were harmed. Defendants' wrongful threats and demands were a substantial factor in causing plaintiffs harm. Upon information and belief, each of the defendants was aware that the others planned to commit or tort the extortion against plaintiffs. Accordingly, each of the defendants is equally liable to plaintiffs for the tort of extortion by reason of their conspiracy to commit the tort. Second cause of action, defamation against Lively, Reynolds, Sloan, and Vision. Defendants made one or more statements to persons other than plaintiffs, including without limitation to the New York Times, to the effect of plaintiffs engaged in, permitted, and or failed to prevent sexually inappropriate conduct towards Lively and others, and the plaintiffs retaliated against Lively and others for reporting the alleged sexual misconduct, but including propagating false and misleading narratives about Lively for the purpose of damaging her image and reputation. The persons to whom defendants made these statements reasonably understood that these statements were made by plaintiffs. The statement made by the defendants were intended to and did have the effect of exposing plaintiffs' hatred, contempt, ridicule, causing them to be shunned or avoided, and having a tendency to injure them in their occupations. Specifically, the persons to whom defendants made the statements reasonably reasonably understand the statements to mean plaintiffs engaged in, permitted, or failed to prevent sexually inappropriate conduct towards Lively and others. The statements made by defendants and plaintiffs were false. Furthermore, defendants knew the statements were false and had serious doubts about the truths of the statements. Defendants' false statements about plaintiffs to third parties were a substantial factor in causing harm to plaintiffs' property, business, trade, profession, and/or occupation. Expenses plaintiffs has to pay as a result of the defamatory statements, harm to plaintiffs' reputations, and with respect to Baldoni and Heath, shame, mortification, and hurt feelings. Upon information and belief, each of the defendants was aware that the others planned to commit the tort of defamation against plaintiffs, and that each of the defendants agreed with one another and intended that the wrongful acts pleaded herein be committed. Accordingly, each of the defendants is equally liable to plaintiff for the tort of defamation by reason of their conspiracy to commit tort. Third cause of action, false light invasion of privacy. Fourth cause of action, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing against Lively. Next, if there's a fifth cause of action, there is intentional interference with contractual relations against Reynolds and Lively. Sixth cause of action, intentional interference with prospective economic advantage against Reynolds and Lively. Seventh cause of action, negligent interference with prospective economic advantage against Reynolds and Lively. Prayer for relief. So here is what they are demanding. For a money judgment against representing compensatory damages, including consequential damages, lost wages, earnings, and all the sums of the money together with an interest of these amounts and the amount to be proven at trial, but is no event less than $400 million. For an award of the money judgment for mental pain and anguish and severe and serious emotional distress as applicable in the amount to be proven at trial. For pre- and post-judgment interest, for punitive damages, for attorney's fees, and for legal and equitable relief. Demand for a jury trial. Plaintiffs demand a jury trial on all causes of actions so trialable. And that is the end. What are...
We made it, y'all. We made it to the end. And now I'm fully caught up. See, that's why I love listening to the actual, or reading. I didn't have time to read it. But the actual case, the actual information, like not a headline. Like you really cannot even trust the majority of journalists out there nowadays, because one, very good journalism is not being pushed by mainstream media, so that's already a struggle in itself. And then two, a lot of journalists that are out there and in mainstream media are biased, paid off, have a certain ulterior motive, don't do unbiased writing. You know what I mean? Like the New York Times article. So there's that. Okay. So to wrap this video up, I want to just go ahead and watch some of the videos I've been seeing on my For You page. I think I have them in order. Let's do it, girl.
Justin Baldoni has just dropped some new receipts against Blake Lively, and they are juicy. Let's dive in. So in his new $400 million lawsuit against Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan, he had these gems to drop. Remember when he claimed that Blake Lively sequestered him, his team, and his family to the basement during the premiere of It Ends With Us? Well, he dropped some photos showing them in the basement celebrating the premiere. Not only that, but he also dropped a number of text messages between he and Blake, including some late night 2 a.m. texts. And not to mention the very lengthy text messages that she would send him, praising his work and also flexing her muscle, claiming that she is like Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, and she has Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift to be her dragons, to defend her and back her up, especially when it came to the script rewrites. We get a concerned email from Sony's legal team after Blake Lively claimed that Ryan Reynolds had helped rewrite some of the scenes of It Ends With Us. And some additional text messages from producers claiming that she is trying to hijack the film and that it is causing issues with production. He even shows his text messages with his trainer when there was the alleged fat shaming that was going on when he asked how much Blake weighed. Well, he's like, listen, here are my text messages with the trainer. And this one I just thought was kind of funny because the movie that Blake claimed to be so passionate about, they reveal she never even read the book. What do you think? Drop a comment below. Let me know how you're feeling about all of the case now that we have his lawsuit out.
Okay, I had to come and give y'all the scoop before I go in the house, but Justin's team is coming out with a website for us. Cause y'all not.
This is what I was hearing, y'all. This was it. Like, what do you mean? And this is good PR. Like, this is good PR. That's why I'm so confused. Like, they're saying that Blake Lively's like has a whole PR team that planned ahead to then again do the civil suit with Justin. It clearly wasn't a good PR team. Like, True PR is to develop positive PR, a positive relation to the public. Like, what are we missing here? Like, what are we missing? What are we missing? And not to lie, deceit, and manipulate to get a public perception of the media. Can you do that? Yes. But in terms of karma, like, wake that up. Hello, karma exists. So why would you do that? I don't understand. That's why rage bait content I don't get. I don't understand. Unethical content creation in general, I just don't understand that. Just be a good person. Just be a good person. But they have a website coming. Now that is good PR. Like, that is good strategy. That is good marketing. Everything so far. And all this is really leading up to Justin releasing his cut. And we're here for it. And it outperforming Lively's, on top of it winning awards. That would be like chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Watch that happen.
Not hearing me. Justin's team is coming out with a website for us with all of the tea laid out so we can follow along. Pretty much all the evidence is going to be laid out in a way that we can follow along and we can comprehend as people that are not in the law field, the law scope. Do you feel me? So they're coming out with a motherfucking website, bitch, to let us know what the fuck is going on so we can follow along and comprehend and not be lost in the motherfucking sauce, because some of us are lost. Some of us ain't where everybody else is at, right? So they're like, fuck this. The public wants to know, so the public's gonna know, and we're gonna put the tea out, all of it. We don't give a fuck what y'all got going on. We about to put out the tea, the scoop. And we gonna have our hands on it. This is so juicy. So either the website's gonna come out either later this week or next week, and pretty much it's gonna go every single claim that Blake made. Per claim, they're gonna be like, this is what the fuck we got, saying that this bitch is a liar. Even if you read Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit on that ass, it still goes that way. It still shows it, but the jargon is very like Law and Order-ish. Like, I don't know what the fuck y'all saying. I heard Olivia say it one time in passing. Maybe Stabler said it here and there, but I really don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But they're about to put this shit in layman's terms for us. The website is for us. Little old me.
She's so cute. Literally. Love it. Can't wait. The minute it comes out, let me know. Please spam my comment section. Girl, the website is out. Follow me on TikTok. Tag me. Let me know when that website drops, okay? I have a life. My birthday's also tomorrow, so I might miss this if it starts dropping like throughout this weekend. Tag me, please. Thank you so, so much. Woo. Oh. Okay, let me add the next video. I'm literally not going to edit this. I'm going to download this, see how long it takes to download, and just post this video.
My theory on why I think that Justin Baldoni kept all of the receipts just in case something bad happened, even though it seems like he didn't really see that this was coming. It looks like he was blindsided more than anyone else. My theory that I haven't seen anyone else have is that it was his wife. I think it was his wife. He seems like somebody who tells his wife everything. Seems like he probably has a very healthy relationship with his wife. And I imagine even if he didn't clock the mean girl, she did. She clocked that bitch from a mile away. And I imagine when he told her everything that was going on, her spidey senses were going off, and she was like, no. You do not trust her. Do not trust her. She's going to try and fuck you in so many different ways, and you need to protect her.
Someone in this creator's comment section, this is Princess Coyote, had said that it also gives just a loyal man, like a good guy, where it's like a guy that actually has a life, actually does stuff to where he doesn't delete things on his phone because he actually like has a life to live, has things to do, has nothing to hide. So he had all the proof sitting there because he already knew. Or not even already knew, but he had the proof sitting there because he doesn't go through and delete messages and try to like manipulate conversations and XYZ. He's living his life, doing his thing, you know? So I saw that in the comment section, but it also does kind of scream like a woman's touch, you know, like, and also if that was my man in this career field with dealing with her, yeah, I'd be kind of the same way, especially if he's coming home telling me certain things are happening where I'm like, oh no, babe, you need to start collecting receipts, everything. Do not delete anything. Have a live mic on. The mic was on. Okay.
Yourself. You keep everything. You CYA in every way that you can. That is what I think happened, because that's just what I think. So
Colleen. Why does it appear as though your movie career may be as dead as your eyes look in this picture? Sis, they are saying that you have fled the internets, first by turning off your comments and now deleting your Instagram entirely. I think it just might be too late, Colleen, because you really did hitch yourself to B-list Blake's wagon there. And the inquiring minds still want to know how you spent 5 years with Justin and betrayed him so quickly. Not to mention at this point...
Again, I'll tell you why. Very dangerous demographic. I hate to break it to y'all. A very dangerous demographic here. And I just really need more people to highlight that. And the proof is in the pudding.
We're just all really looking forward to your deposition. Because we have questions, Colleen. Like, mostly, what did Blake and Ryan promise you to get you to jump ship so quickly? And how's that working out for you? But don't run away, Colleen, because remember, you stand with women. Unless those women are accusing your son.
She kind of ate. And then I wanted to end on this clip. Just for any of the stragglers remaining with this. Oh, and also, wait. Maggie did have a few other videos as well, too. Let me see if I can pull this up.
I can't believe that it's gotten worse, but she has made a statement since that footage came out. Let me get a drink. Okay, so apparently she's made a statement, and it's something along the lines, I'll read it in just a second, but it's, the gist that I've gotten is that it's along the lines of she's ecstatic that this footage has come out because it proves her point. It proves her point? Did we watch the same video? Did her attorney, did we watch the same video? Because I'm pretty sure that video does not solidify her point. Let me read this full statement. Justin Baldoni and his lawyer may hope that this latest stunt will get ahead of the damaging evidence against him, but the video itself is damning. Every frame of the released footage corroborates to the letter what Ms. Lively described in paragraph 48 of her complaint. The video shows Mr. Baldoni repeatedly leaning in towards Ms. Lively, attempting to kiss her, kissing her forehead, rubbing his face and neck against her neck. She's describing him being in character, so they're upset that he released footage of him showing a scene that they're supposed to be acting in, that Blake is now accusing him of SH for. The statement continues, good Lord. Every moment of this was improvised by Mr. Baldoni with no discussion or consent in advance and no intimacy coordinator present. Mr. Baldoni was not only Miss Lively's co-star, but the director, the head of the studio, and Miss Lively's boss. And they were acting in a scene together.
And you fought religiously for him to not have that role. Yeah, who's on the team? Who is on the there? It cannot be somebody that has an actual degree in this career field, the credentials. But y'all, seriously, right? Or am I just am I pulling this string too hard? And I know I'm not. What is going? This can't be. And if so, again, hire me. If this is the case, there's clearly not a need for actual credentials. Clearly.
What does Miss Lively not understand about that? I don't think Blake knows how to do her job. I don't think she knows how to be an actress. What are your thoughts?
Literally, what are your thoughts? Actually, before you give your thoughts, to wrap again, now I can wrap this video up for sure, for real this time, y'all. For real. I feel like I've said that a few times in the video, but there's just so much to unpack, girl. But unpack this. Unpack this, especially if you're still trying to take up for this white woman, please.
When we were in 10th grade, we had like crazy crushes. We would drive around, like stalk these guys.
we decided one night to go to the arcade where they were, and I put bronzer all over myself in a Scary Spice fro, so I thought they would think I was like a black girl, and so I could stalk them. My friend dressed up as like this goth girl, and we literally sat outside their houses.
As a person who had a little bit of sense when I was younger, I would have drug my freshly waxed, raw, beat up snickerdoodle across hot coal on an Arizona summer's day before you got this information about me. Where y'all at? I was defending the plantation with it. She was younger here. Maybe she didn't know what that meant. Just like she didn't know what the book meant because she never read it. Laughing and giggling and kikiing about deliberately putting on blackface to stalk somebody is diabolical. It's committable. This is a clear pattern to show she never changed. She had the privilege not to. She thought
is really that. And I don't want to play her entire video here. Again, I'll have all the videos linked down below, but I don't want to play the entire video because there's some audio as well, so I don't want to get flagged for the audio. And also, I just realized there's construction beeping, and so that's probably going to be in my audio as well too. But again, we're really trying to get, I really just wanted to listen in full to the reading from top to bottom of the lawsuit. How do you guys feel about this? Let me know. I'm definitely going to stay up to date. I think my next video on this topic will kind of be a wrap up of, again, what are next steps for both parties in terms of their PR and marketing perspectives. I don't even know if I'll speak on the topic after this. You guys let me know. I'll gauge kind of the audience reaction in a sense. Leave comments down below about the discourse if you guys are enjoying these longer videos. Trust me, I have a lot more planned soon. If you're a new subscriber, I appreciate you. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment. If you made it to the end of this video, please put a red emoji of some kind because Valentine's Day is coming up. Or wish me happy birthday because my birthday's tomorrow. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Blake, count your days. Count your days. Bye.